Yeah, I've done it again. I'm Andy, this is Project Carhaven, and today I'm working on yet another thing that is not a car. This bike was purchased by my wife. It was bought from somebody who is a bit of a technology potato, and so once we'd organised to buy the bike, it was supposed to get shipped up from about 1,000 miles away. We lost communication with the guy, and that's why in the previous video you'll find the Royal Enfield being built, because that's the bike she did want. But a few days after we picked that up, the guy messaged us and said, hey, I brought the bike up, it's ready for collection. So I guess we couldn't really back out of the deal. So here we are with another motorbike to fix. Issues from the get-go. There are some fairing scratches. There's old and tired tank grips, which obviously need to come off. There's some adhesive residue from another tank protector. And there's something going on with the gauge trim panel at the top. There's a chipped front indicator lens. The tyres are cracked and dry rotted. There's a supplementary seat cover which doesn't appear to be hiding any rips or tears. Maybe it's for extra grip, I don't know. And it's hiding. As you can see, there's a wasp nest in there, and there's also one in the front wheel. So I guess there's a bit to do. So what we have is a Kawasaki ZZR250. I have been tinkering with it already, and I have managed to get it to run, but it doesn't have a battery, so it's running off of a jump pack. So it does run, but the fuel's a bit stinky. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is drain this tank and put some fresh stuff in. And then I'll work on the cosmetics. I'm just going to use a low PSI fuel pump that I got out of the Celica to siphon out the fuel. Well, that's the tank drained, but once I did drain it, I found a filter in there just floating around, not where it's supposed to be. It appears I can remove the piece of the tank that holds these filters from the underside. So I've got to remove the tank, unbolt that, refit this filter and put it back in the tank. Then I'll be able to put fresh fuel in. So it would appear this extra cover for the seat's just been stapled on. So I'll just remove these staples, get this off the seat, and then I'll start working on removing those ugly things there. Now I'm sure this served a purpose, probably provided extra grip for the rider, but it wouldn't pass a roadworthy inspection because there's no way the inspector could know that this seat didn't have any rips. Now you can see it doesn't have rips, so that's one item off the agenda. Well, next I'm going to work on these tank grips because they're filthy and old and crusty. I'm just going to try and peel them off by hand while they break into pieces. Yeah, and any leftover adhesive I'll just hit with some wax and grease remover and clean it up. Stubborn. Well, now that it's off, it's just a matter of using the wax and grease remover, getting all of this stuff off, and I've still got the other grip to remove from the other side. Get this old wasp nest out of here. Yeesh. Some type of an alarm system that doesn't work. I have a fob for it, but the bike runs. So I'm going to remove all this. I'm going to say that's another one. Oh, yep, a little box there. Okay, I need to take the fairings off to be able to access it. Alright, so that's the little alarm box out of here. We don't need that anymore. Now this is all open, it gives me a good opportunity to clean it properly too. Next, to get the tank off. Alright, there's the tank off. Now see about getting this fuel tap off so I can refit that filter. Oh yeah. So yeah, that's one filter here. This other guy's supposed to sit in there like that. So I'm pretty sure I've got an oil leak. Yeah. So I'm going to need to take off all the fairings anyway, clean the engine, and then try and locate where it's coming from and stop that. I've never actually taken the fairing off a motorcycle before. In fact, I only just got my motorcycle license less than 3 months ago. So I'm just learning as I go along here. Yeah, there's nothing on that switch at all. Well, there's like a cigarette lighter port in here, and it looks like it's an add-on. Doesn't look factory. Yeah, we'll just eliminate that. What is all this? There's extra wiring here for, maybe it's the alarm system stuff. I got the front cowl off and I realised it's got like a protective film thing over that. I'm not sure it'll pass a roadworthy with this in place, so I'm going to take that off as well, but not just yet. So now the fairing's off, I found There's a cluster of wiring here. It looks like it's been spliced in. It's just terminals hanging loose here. I'm not sure what it's for, but I am going to delete it. It's not exactly great soldering work, so I will cut these, tidy them up, do the job properly. Alright, it's all stripped down now. I've taped up the fuel line so no water gets in them, but we're at the point where I'm going to wheel it out onto the grass, soak it with some degreaser, and pressure wash everything. And get rid of this aftermarket rubber cover for the shifter as well, won't need that. Well, I'm pretty sure I found the oil leak. Once I got the cover off of here, I could see oil spray moving radially out from the cog, which means it's started from the center and sprayed outwards. So the output shaft steel is probably responsible, but also it was quite messy on the selector shaft, and there is a little seal on there, so I have to go away and order those too. So in the meantime, I'll continue to clean it up to get everything nice and clean under here. I can also change the oil, and I did have to split the chain to get that front sprocket off, so I'll completely remove the chain and clean it properly and then re-lubricate it. So that'll be taken care of as well. So yeah, chain maintenance is kind of important. So another quick job I need to take care of is changing over the brake fluid, because it looks a bit old and crusty. It's probably not very effective. So I'm going to use a syringe to draw the old fluid out and then flush the lines by actuating the brakes and put some nice fresh .4 in. So next I'm going to drain the oil, but not refill it because I can't do that until I replace those leaking seals. But I can change the oil filter so it's ready to be refilled once that bit's done. I'm just guessing, but I think this is where the oil filter is. Alright, I'm just going to quickly run the polisher over all of these parts here and try and make them look a bit better. While it's stripped down like this, I think I might rebuild the exhaust. Okay, so everything's masked up as best as I need it to be. Now it's a matter of just throwing on a couple of coats of paint and calling this done. And I am using high temp paint, not ordinary paint, because it's an exhaust and it's going to get hot. Well, there is a bit of weather rolling in, but I did manage to get paint on the exhaust, and it should be dry enough for me to refit onto the bike. So let's go. Oh, that's the exhaust back on. I think I can get just about everything else on now. I do need to keep the fairings off because that broken indicator lens needs to be replaced, and it seems impossible to reach with the fairings fitted. But I think I can get the fuel tank back on, the seat, the rear fairings. We'll see how I go. New battery, seeing as it didn't have one. Well, I forgot to do a job which was adjust the valve clearance, so I've got to take the fuel tank off again. Okay, so I didn't film it, but I had to take a lot of stuff apart to get this valve cover off. I had to take out the throttle cables, clutch cable, had to rearrange the choke, had to cut cable ties to move wiring out the way, I had to take hoses off the cooling system. This job, not easy. Well, it's a bit of a sudden jump forward, but unfortunately I lost the footage and the rain really started hammering down, so the piece of footage I did have, couldn't hear anything anyway. And now I've got the parts to replace the indicator lenses on the fairings, so I'll go ahead and take this out. It's held in by one screw. Then the perimeter has a sort of silicone adhesive gummy mess. Use a heat gun to get that nice and soft. Pry the old lens out, push the new one on, refit the lens to the fairing, and then the fairings can go back on the bike. One screw, slides back and then out. Heat gun, low setting. Now get a screwdriver, pry this off, squeeze the new lens on, fit it back on the fairing. Of course, I'm always getting ahead of myself. Before I put the fairings on, I have to change these leaking seals. So I'm just going to make use of these picking tools, see if I can get these seals out. Well, it looks like I'm not having much success. I'm just going to use an old trick of putting a couple of screws in, using some motor grips or pliers and just yanking them free. Well, I lost some footage thanks to a microphone failure, but I did get that seal replaced. I've now refitted the front sprocket, but now I'm a bit stuck because it's been a bit flooded in the region, so all the freight's been cut off, so the tyres were unavailable and on their way from down south, so they're held up. And I also ordered a new starter because it was feeling a bit slow, and also a starter solenoid just to see if one of those two things were responsible. They're also held up, so until the roads open up again, I'm a bit stuck. So on that note, I guess I'll end the episode here, and in the next one, we'll get the starter sorted out, get new tyres fitted, take it for a little test ride, see if everything's okay. If so, organise for a safety certificate, registration, and then actually take it for a proper test ride. So until then, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.